My name is Joel DeVincent and I'm with the Office for Professional Development and School Supports. We'd like to thank you for joining us on our continuing of our professional learning about professional learning communities. Last school year we learned a lot about professional learning communities, and we focused on two of the three big ideas within a professional learning community. The first big idea was a focus on collaboration. We really spoke about the importance of teachers working together collaboratively to solve complex issues that challenge and face us as educators. We also talked about the structures that support collaboration, about making sure that we set aside protected time within PLCs for us to have that, to do that important work. We also talked about the importance of norms and setting the right conditions for learning to occur, professional learning. The second big idea that we focused on in the PLC was a focus on learning. And we talked about our own learning, and we talked about the learning of children. We really identified critical questions, PLC questions, that can help us guide those conversations. For example, question 1, what do we expect all students to learn? That question guided us into really prioritizing or focusing on important standards. And then we went through a process of unwrapping or unpacking those standards to really understand what do we want students to know, understand, and be able to do. We then took that unpacked standard and created a student-friendly scale as a way for students to track their own learning and their own progress. The second question that we focused on in a focus on learning was how will we know if and when students have learned what we wanted them to learn? And we really talked about assessments. How can we create an assessment calendar and identify when will critical assessments be given? And teachers even went further in talking about creating pre- and post-tests as a measure of learning. We then moved into PLC question 3. How will we design learning experiences for our students? And we really learned about our Marzano framework of instruction, our common language for instruction, and then had teachers work collaboratively to create a commonly planned unit of instruction. We should all be very proud of the amazing work that we did last year around PLCs. This year, we're going to focus on the third big idea of a professional learning community, a focus on results. And really that starts with having good data. And that data should really inform us as what we need to do next. So where we're going to start with that is talking about how teachers can create collaboratively planned formative assessments, collaboratively created formative assessments. Common assessments. By common, we mean that they're collaboratively created within the PLC. And of course, by formative, we're talking about measures for learning rather than just measures of learning. So that we now can have great data that leads us to our next set of questions, which really are the next two questions in our PLC cycle. What will we do, or how will we respond when students have learned, and how will we respond when students have not learned? And so that'll take us into the next part of our professional learning community, which is really learning about the inquiry cycle and how can we solve these complex issues. Again, the idea behind this really is a focus on collaboration, a focus on learning, and a focus on results. And we truly believe that when we work collaboratively together, we can solve these complex issues. The next part of this video is going to talk about teachers really dialoguing about the power of commonly created formative assessments.
Since PLCs are planning collaboratively, it makes sense that they're going to share formative assessments. That way, when they meet the next time and they're trying to cover a standard, they can see exactly where their students are before the students take the big test or have the big assessment.
And I think too that it, by pinpointing the standard that way, and if we are all using the same assessment, we would be able to identify easy how excellent teaching is going on in certain places and be able to grab that information better so than if we were using, like, say, a unit test that was more cumulative.
Today's training has been very effective. It has allowed us to collaborate with our colleagues, not just content-based, but also cross-curricular, with sharing ideas about assessments.